Hey guys, Captain Midnight here. I'm doing something a little bit different for this Patreon exclusive. If you don't like it, let me know and I'll make sure not to do it in the future. But, well, one, I'm actually back at my parents' house across the country from, where I make most of my episodes. So I don't really have access to my usual editing software, but also I thought it would be a nice change of pace to maybe do like a low-key podcast-style Q&A video. So I've asked you guys for questions, and I'm going to answer them now. So yeah, minimal editing. You can hear all of the ums and ahs that I usually cut out from most of my videos. So, congratulations, I guess. But yeah, let's dig into it. This will be fun. All right, so first up is Lewis M., who asks, what's your creative process like? So I've gotten this question a lot, and, it's interesting because I think my creative process stays the same, and then all at once will kind of shift. I mean, my last biggest shift, I would say, was getting this new microphone, which honestly kind of changed the way I edited and stuff. But normally, I spend most of the week thinking of a topic, and that's honestly part of the hardest. Like, one of the hardest parts is just coming up with something that I feel like I haven't heard 100 times, because, I'm covering a lot of, Marvel, DC, superheroes, other stuff too, but when I'm covering those two things, which is talked about so often, I feel like it's really important to key into something that maybe the audience hasn't heard a million times before. And I think I accomplish that sometimes better than others. But, one of the big things that I do is just, write down ideas, spend a lot of the week brainstorming. And then I actually usually write the script in about a day and a half. And I always have to get out of my house to write it. I go to like a Starbucks or Panera Bread or something. And I just spend all day there getting it all down. And then the next day is editing day. And I wake up, I eat, and then I edit. And other than meals, that's just all the day is editing, so that I can get it out to you guys in time. It's a tough crunch period, and it gets really hard during the school year. But I think it's worth it, It was really hard to keep it going when there was, absolutely no one watching. But now that, I have a steady group of people that I know enjoy my content, it's a lot easier to push through that and get it made. So for anyone out there that's making their own YouTube videos and maybe no one's watching yet, that would be my advice, is to just, stick to it, because even though no one's watching now, if you put in the effort, probably somebody eventually will. Alright, so next up, we have Brad Shankar, who asks, what would be your dream superhero movie in terms of which character and who would be on the creative team, writer, director, etc.? Man, this is a really tough one. So, I have, my favorite living director is Martin Scorsese. But I have a hard time saying that I want Martin Scorsese. I know he's producing a Joker movie, but come on, let's be serious. Producing doesn't really count, not the same as directing. But I don't, if he wanted to make a Batman movie, I think that would be amazing. But also, he's got so few years of filmmaking left that I would kind of feel bad, having him do something like that instead of whatever he wants to do. But yeah, honestly, a Martin Scorsese Batman movie would just be incredible. That would be kind of the, I don't know, when I picture a great Batman movie in my head, what I want is a mixture of 40s noir and 70s Martin Scorsese. And then, maybe a little helping of the 60s Batman show as well. But yeah, I think that would probably be my pick there. Okay. So Amber Yen asks, what are your thoughts on the Transformers franchise, especially the live action ones? If you really know that much of the live Let's see. Oh, and if I know about the live action Transformers films, how do you think they should reboot it? Okay, so what do I think about the Transformers franchise? Not really into it. Transformers, like, as a whole, was a little bit before my time. Like, I more grew up with Power Rangers than the Transformers. I understand people's nostalgia for it, and I definitely, like, wouldn't knock that. But it's not really anything that I've ever personally been super invested in. I do think Transformers fans have kind of gotten a raw deal from the Michael Bay movies. I know there's people out there that like them, and I think the first one has some elements that are redeemable. But honestly, like, there's so much more of Michael Bay in those movies than there is about whatever it was that attracted people to the Transformers comics and cartoons and toys, like, in the first place. Once you have someone like Michael Bay come on board, it's going to be a Michael Bay show, and it's going to be him putting what he likes before, what people like about that franchise. So, yeah, I think it's a kind of a crappy situation. In terms of how I would reboot it, I think this Bumblebee thing is actually kind of promising. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not, like, going out of my mind in anticipation for it or anything. But I think kind of reconnecting with, like a simple story about a girl and her car, which, that was what the first movie was. It seems like a way to bring things back down to earth a little bit and maybe ground things emotionally in a way that, yeah, the Michael Bay movies just got so far away from. So, yeah, that would be I guess that would be my reboot. Although, if we're going to be honest, my big reboot was, so in the Transformers writers' room, which, like, is it Paramount? Whatever company has the rights to Transformers, they put together this big writers' room that they got, like, amazing writers in this thing, like Michael Chabon, who's a fantastic novelist. I think Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, was in there. A bunch of other great comic guys. And they asked them, like, can you come up with this story for a new Transformers movie? And the story they wanted to tell was this really over-the-top, crazy medieval story. And, we got a little bit of that in The Last Knight, but it was so neutered from how crazy they originally wanted it to be. And honestly, I don't know, I'm a big fan of fantasy medieval settings. I think that would have been really cool. But I understand if you're a hardcore Transformers fan, maybe that's not really in what you want from the franchise. But as an outside observer, I think that would have made things a little more interesting. Okay, so Marcelo asks, where do you feel the DCEU went wrong, and how might they salvage the franchise? Alright, so I feel like a lot of people think I hate the DCEU, which is kind of a bummer because, like, I really like the DC characters, I really do, and it bums me out that I have to, like, kind of play the bad guy with the DCEU all the time, but I think they deserve it. Like, where do you think they went wrong? I think they went wrong by hiring Zack Snyder more than once. Honestly, and, I hate to say it because I think Zack Snyder as a director, like, has, like, a very unique visual style, and in superhero films, I think that's pretty rare. I think he can come up with some pretty breathtaking imagery, but in terms of storytelling, I think he's fundamentally was just wrong for Superman and Batman, but especially for Superman. I think that Zack Snyder, in a way, really dislikes what Superman is and what he represents, and I think that makes it very, very difficult to make a good Superman movie when you don't like Superman. But how would they salvage it? This is, like, more interesting, probably. How would they salvage it? See, this is... Now you're getting a peek into my writing process where I'm just like, I don't know. So, how would they salvage it? Okay. I think that what they're doing right now with Aquaman and Shazam, it could go either way, but I think they have... The general idea is, let's lighten this up. Let's make it more approachable to people who aren't into the whole do you bleed type of thing. and just try to make some fun superhero movies. As a palate cleanser, I think that works. But if you're talking about how to save the DCEU as a whole, you have to get into how do you recontextualize Batman and Superman in a new way that is completely different from the Snyder versions. And I think for that, they should honestly take a lot of influence from like the animated cartoons, you know, Batman the Animated Series. Just hew close to those templates for those characters, and I don't think those would steer you wrong. One thing that I will say about DC over Marvel is that they tend to not get in their director's way as much. And now Marvel's been getting better at this, like, for sure. I don't want to make it sound like, you know, Marvel is just like an iron fist or anything, because they've let directors do interesting things in the past. But I do think that with DC in such disarray, it's a great opportunity for some directors with like more original voices to just go wild and not have the suits really stop them. So I think that could be good. I hope they get away with it. All right. So lastly, we have, or maybe not lastly, we'll see. Cooper Douglas asks, my question, are you excited for Shazam? Why or why not? Yes, I'm excited for Shazam. I thought the trailer looked fun and pretty goofy, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope it's good. I don't know if it'll be a hit. I mean, if it's good, I don't really care either, but I really hope that DC can claw their way back into this thing, because it's a bummer having bad DC movies. It's just a bummer. So, yeah, you know, hopefully things will improve for them and get just a little less. I don't want to keep playing the bad guy for DC. I want to like their movies. I want to say, hey, this is a great new Batman movie. And I hope that eventually happens, but we'll see. And no one asked this, but I know there's been talk of like this Joker movie a lot recently. Like the podcaster, who's obviously a much better podcaster than me right now, Mark Maron, might be signing on to be a character in these Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. And I think, like, as much as a solo Joker movie seems like it could be a train wreck, like, I don't know, between Joaquin Phoenix, Scorsese producing, and Mark Maron being in it, they're really selling me on this Joker movie. So hopefully that goes in some interesting directions. I'm really curious to see if that actually ever gets made. And if so, I'm, you know, unironically going to be hoping that it's a fantastic movie. But yeah, I guess that is the Q&A questions I have for you guys, from you guys. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings, and let me know if you dug this, or if you were like, this sucked. You should probably just stick to your video essays. And, you know, I'll take that into consideration, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next week.